my dear friends. She is going to talk about a neuroscientific look into human emotions. This is going to be a fantastic keynote from the Chief Executive Officer of Neuroelectrics. Please join me in welcoming to the stage, Anna Maiques. Thank you. Welcome.
Oh my God, the lights. So good morning, everyone. I'm super happy to be here in my hometown, Barcelona, and Pera and the team know how much of a fan of 4 years from now I am. So let's get started. This song make you feel pretty sad, right? What about if I tell you it's not a sad song? This music represents the brain of a patient suffering from depression. When your brain is depressed, the right part of your brain has less activity than your left side. This is called frontal asymmetry. And with the distorted sound, I wanted to make a call on when your brain is not healthy, it doesn't sound right. And it should sound happy and healthy, and depressed brains are not healthy. So one of the reasons why they bring me here, and you may recognize me now, is because at Neuroelectrics, we are super proud to have developed this technology. This is, of course, the famous Anna Maiques caps and Neuroelectrics. As you can see, it's wireless, and this cap does two things. You see there are plenty of electrodes here. These electrodes are recording my brain signals in real time, and you'll see it now. But I can use any of the electrodes in this cap to stimulate the brain, to send electrical currents into the brain. So right now, when you're listening to me, guess what? 100 billion neurons communicated at tremendous speed. I repeat, almost 100 billion neurons are communicating electrically. So with this cap, we can do two very interesting things. This is my brain. If you can see in the image, blue is less activity, red is more activity. This is called electroencephalography, and it's really your brain waves, the electrical activity on your brain. Let's say that you suffer from epilepsy. So maybe one area of the brain is super red, is creating seizures. And what we can do that is very, very breakthrough is we can stimulate that area of the brain that is super excited to try to bring excitation down and prevent the seizures from happening. So your brain is an electrical system, and with this technology, we can modulate your brain. So for the entrepreneurs in the room, Neuroelectrics is very proud born in Barcelona. We started at the Observatory Fabra. So I joke with my American friends. They start companies in garage. We start companies at beginning of the century buildings. So we started in Barcelona, but very fast in 2014, we scaled up to Boston, Massachusetts. So let me tell you, for the entrepreneurs in the room, talent doesn't have gender, doesn't have geography, doesn't have any condition. Talent is everywhere. We have amazing talent in Barcelona. And Neuroelectrics is an example of how you can be born here but compete in probably the most hardest place to compete on life sciences, Boston. So when we scaled up to Boston years ago, I remember trying to raise money and people telling me, you're Spanish, you have an accent, you didn't go to MIT and Harvard, you will not raise money. Put a man to raise money for you. And I'm like, I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. There's no way I'm not going to raise money for my company. And a year and a half ago, we raised $20 million Series A dollars from Boston investors. So for the ladies out there, or for diversity out there, don't let the tech world or the investment world tell you that you cannot do something, because, talent doesn't have gender. Thank you. So after the Boston adventure, we thought we want to put this technology to good use. So what can we do with this amazing technology? So with the help of my co-founder, who is a physicist and mathematician, and my whole team, we started to work in epilepsy. There are 60 million patients in the world suffering from epilepsy, and 1/3 don't respond to medication, meaning these children here will have seizures, and the only alternative is surgery. So together with Boston Children's and our colleagues at Harvard, we started this beautiful protocol. We asked your doctor, if you suffer from epilepsy, to give us the EEG and the MRI of a patient, as you can see in the video. And then we told the neurologist, tell us where the seizures are coming from. You can see he's painting the area of the brain that is creating the seizures. And with that information, our team builds a 3D model of the brain. We call these neurotwins, or digital copies of your brain. So for that particular brain, we have to compute how many electrodes and how much electricity we need to inject to really be able to reduce seizures for that patient. And as you have seen in the device, this can be taken home, so that's downloaded. So truly revolutionary in terms of what we can do with the brain today. So with this approach, 10 days, 20 minutes of stimulation, we reduce seizures 47%. It's amazing. So the only alternative they have is surgeries, and the FDA granted us breakthrough designation. So if we succeed in sustaining these effects, reducing seizures non-invasively, we will become the first company in the world to go through the FDA with a new therapy. This is the beauty of being an entrepreneur. You start something in the Observatory Fabra in Barcelona, you scale up to Boston, and now you're in the footsteps of creating a therapy that didn't exist 2 years ago. I think that's really what entrepreneurs and 4 years from now is for. So today, we are doing 190 patients in more than 40 hospitals in the US, in Europe, and in Mexico. And if we sustain the 47% seizure reduction, we will be leaders in our field. So wish us luck. We are working very hard, but we will not stop in epilepsy. We think depression is a huge mental health issue. So we are also doing an at-home depression study, stimulating the right side of your brain to really compensate for that distorted sound that I explained. So the future, all of you, I believe in a future where you will be prescribed not a drug, but a cap, receiving non-invasive brain stimulation, and really getting better from your brain disease. 1 out of 5 in this room will develop Alzheimer's, depression, or epilepsy, or other mental health diseases. So, as I have said about the future is also about building this neurotwin, or digital copies of the brain. You know, the flight pilots in the planes that you took to come to Barcelona, they simulate how the flight is going to go on the cloud, right? We do the same. Instead of building a flight simulator, we are building a brain model, a digital copy of your brain. So before we give you a treatment, before we decide to prescribe you our cap or a drug, we can play on the cloud how your brain is going to respond. So you'll see, Ramon y Cajal was the father of neuroscience. I think there is so much to do in neurotechnology, not only in medical, but as the title of this talk, on emotion recognition. So the brain is the most complicated part of our body, and we are just scratching the surface. As an example of the emotion recognition part, and I think that's something the organizer told me, many artists are working with our device. We have an exhibition at MoMA in New York to really see how the brain responds to art or music. So you're going to see more and more of the arts work getting into the neuroscience. But back to the patients, which is what makes me and my team wake up every day. I think there is still a lot of technologies to do. And as you can see, we are more than 80 people, 40% women. So for the fathers and mothers out there, please encourage your daughters to study science and technology. We need more diversity in the tech world. There are not many women CEOs in the tech world. Every time you think about technology, you think about Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. So where is the black people? Where are the women out there? So encourage your daughters to really study science and technology. So we have engineers, electronic, biomedical, a fantastic team. I have a couple of my team here, Yolanda and Rosa. And let me tell you, we work very hard every day in a very difficult problem like the brain. But we are going to be restless, and we will keep on working so hard until we make sure all of your brains, they don't sound sad, but the sound of your brain is healthy and happy like this one. Thank you. Thank you. And I have 4 minutes for questions, so I'm super happy to take questions from the audience. Don't be shy. I'm a local, so feel free to ask any question. Here's your chance. Where is the mic? There. Okay, I don't see you, but there is a question.
Do you provide the technology for other small startups that want to do research?
Yes. So that's an interesting question. Instead of raising capital from day one, we started to sell our devices to researchers worldwide. So if you're a researcher, if you're a startup, you can ask us for a device to do your own research. And we, in fact, partner with a lot of startups around the world that are doing research in other applications than the ones that we are going after. So yes. More questions? Come on, I'm sure you have some questions. What about the women out there? Yes. See, in America, this doesn't happen. People just like, que somos muy tímidos. Yeah.
No, yo no soy tímida, no te preocupes.
Muy bien, así me gusta.
Vale. Do you foresee the introduction of the brain science in other fields, more than art, and beyond health?
Well, I think that emotion recognition, people are interested in marketing. I mean, the big debate in the Mobile World Congress at 3 o'clock, we have a whole track on neuroethics with some good researchers from Harvard, from the government of Spain. I think one of the key questions with Elon Musk coming into neurotech, as you know, Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink, and they're implanting electrodes on the brain. So one of the questions is if we can have chips in our brain to interact with computers. So imagine you can interact with your phone without using your fingers, just your thoughts. I think that's called brain-computer interfaces. And down the line, I think that's where a lot of the technology is headed to, right? Just to have an interaction brain-machine. But I think that has a lot of ethical issues. So there is a lot of young people in the room, and maybe you young people, I'm much older, will not care that people have a chip into your brain. But others, we will not want our brain data to be, in the hands of Elon Musk or myself, right? So I think that brain-computer interfaces as a new way to interact with machines, emotion recognition, arts, music. In Sonar, we are doing a show in the Sonar, in Primavera Sound. So I think that in general, you will see more and more applications of neurotech in different domains. In architecture, I've seen people approaching me to design houses that are well suited to your brain health, for example, prevention. So I hope one day when your mother starts to lose memory, before she gets sick, you will be prescribed my technology as a prevention thing. But I think that's years from now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone.